Save me a piece of that corn. And a good corn-fed morning to you corn feeders out there. Today we're leaving the Midwest, and where are we heading?
We're headed down south.
So y'all come along and join us for the ride. We're going to head down south and talk about our recent trip and all the things we discovered about the lovely southern states.
So, where did we head to first on our journey from Kansas?
Well, we headed to southern Missouri.
Missouri.
Southern Missouri. And that's kind of almost dipping into the south. Missouri is still claimed by the Midwest. It's one of our fine states here in the Midwest. But southern Missouri, we're almost dipping into Arkansas. It has a little bit of a southern charm to it, I would say.
Mm. It was beautiful. Lots of hills, lots of trees. Very lovely, just like Arkansas. We quickly were into Arkansas once we head out of Missouri. And what was your impression of Arkansas?
Arkansas is really pretty. It actually reminded me quite a bit. It's different, but it's quite similar to Oregon, where we're from on the West Coast. We're from Western Oregon, where it's trees everywhere, lots of mountains. I don't think they I don't know. I didn't see the massive mountains like we have on the West Coast, but it is quite mountainous.
No fir trees either. I didn't notice fir trees in Arkansas.
Yeah, but trees everywhere. It's very green and a lot of windy roads. You know, here in the Midwest, all our roads go or north-south or east-west, and we don't have very many curves, but it's very much like Oregon down there, and that all the roads are kind of winding through the mountains and doing all sorts of stuff.
Yes. And did you notice anything about the people there or the traffic or anything?
In Arkansas, I don't remember there was too much traffic.
Yeah, I think that there were pretty good drivers in Arkansas. That's the impression that I got. What about the people there? What did you notice about them?
I think they were pretty friendly.
Yeah, they were.
Good southern hospitality there.
Yep.
In fact, one of the gas stations we went in had like the nicest attendant ever. He was just chatting up everybody and asking how their day was going and making, nice little small talk with everyone. And I was like, wow, that's usually gas station clerks are like $2.99. See you later. Have a good day. But this guy was
They're
like
robots.
Yeah, this guy was like making conversation and just so cheery and happy, and I was like, wow, even their gas station workers are like really happy.
Yeah, I was impressed with the people of Arkansas.
Yeah.
Okay, so from Arkansas, we dipped down into a little bit of Mississippi and then through Alabama. So tell us about what you thought of Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama was really nice. We were looking for a place to pull off the road and eat our sandwiches. And I noticed that there was a river coming up ahead, looking on the map. And I figured there's probably a little park or something. So we pulled off the freeway and headed down to the river. And sure enough, there was a nice little place with little picnic tables where we could sit. And the river there is really pretty because it's... I don't know how to describe it, but so there's a big river that flows through there. It was the...
Arkansas River?
No, it was like the Coosa, I believe. Oh. The Coosa River. So the river flows through, but it has all these little, I don't know what you call them, like inlets or outlets or something.
Little ports.
That come off the river, and so it's kind of like a little cove, and people were going there fishing, and it was really lovely, and each cove had houses all around it, and if you look at the river on a map, look it up. It's really neat because you'll see the main river, and then you'll see all these little off-croppings of the river that just kind of go out and form all these little coves, and it makes for a lot of neat riverfront properties.
Yeah, it was beautiful at that point. Well, I thought it was beautiful before then too, and I did look up some house prices. And the house prices were quite reasonable until you hit the Lake District. And then it got a little bit spendy. But I was impressed overall with Alabama's road system. Well-kept roads, really nice. And also they would make quite a berm between the road and the trees so that you could have less chance of fires getting in your way, and also it's a good thing to do that because then it's less chance of little critters running out and surprising you.
Oh yeah, yeah. In Kansas and a lot of the Midwest, there's like almost no shoulder on the road. Like sometimes you'll have tall grass growing right up to the road. So we've actually unfortunately hit a couple raccoons since we've been here because you literally have no warning. They pop out of the grass and they're just boom, they're right in front of you. Whereas if you have the shoulder on the road, you can kind of see them coming and maybe do a little swerve or slow down. But yeah. So it's nice to have a little bit of extra shoulder on the road for the critters' sake.
So in Oregon and in Kansas, all possums will eventually meet their fate of being roadkill. This is where we see this everywhere, but particularly in the South, it's not the possum that meets its fate, it's the armadillo that meets its fate down in the southern states, I noticed. And we never got to see a live one. We just only saw them by the roadside.
Yeah, I've only seen armadillos like in zoos, and I was excited to see one in the wild, but just little roadkill ones, which is sad. But it's kind of neat in a weird way to see them because, like, oh my goodness, that's not what we normally see. Such an unusual little creature.
So we just kind of breezed our way through Alabama, and then we headed into Georgia for a little while, and then we spent the night in South Carolina.
Yeah, and the western edge of South Carolina. South Carolina was a really interesting place. That's where we found the fancy 7-Eleven.
Yes, and also the fancy pet deposit fees.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so we've traveled coast to coast. We've stayed in all manner of hotels. We've stayed in expensive hotels, cheap hotels. We're usually kind of a middle of the road hotel kind of family. But we have stayed in typically a pet deposit, $25. It's pretty standard fare. $25 coast to coast. That's usually what we pay. What did we pay in South Carolina?
$75 plus tax, of course.
$75.
So it was $84 to keep our dog overnight.
One night. And that's not refundable if he doesn't do damage. It's a fee. You're not getting any of it back. $84. Imagine that. Some hotels cost less than that a night. So we could have got our dog his own hotel somewhere else for the same price as him to sleep on the floor of our hotel. We could have got him his own hotel and he could have slept in the bed.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, that was pretty ridiculous. But other than that, I was impressed with South Carolina. It seemed very clean. Like the stores were just, like I said, I went in a 7-Eleven at a gas station and it was like so nice inside. It was like super modern design. It looked like a really upscale mini mart, if that's a thing. It is in South Carolina because actually we saw others that were like this. And then I went in the Aldi, and it was so funny. In Aldi, there was like women shopping, and they were like dressed up to the nines with like their fancy outfits and matching shoes and everything. And I was like, wow, nobody goes grocery shopping like that in the Midwest or on the West Coast. But I was like, I guess in South Carolina, you put on your Sunday best to go grocery shopping.
South Carolina,
which I thought was pretty neat. I like that. I like seeing people dressed up.
Okay, so we headed down through Georgia the next day on our way to St. Augustine, Florida. And what city did we drive through in Georgia that we were both kind of blown away by?
Not St. Augustine?
I guess we weren't blown away by it. Savannah.
Oh yeah, Savannah. Yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah, we came upon it and there was a huge, tall archway bridge because they didn't have a bridge that opened for the boats. It just naturally was huge. And then we came down into the city and it was lovely. There was Spanish moss hanging off of all the trees and they had lovely French style homes everywhere. It was just gorgeous. Yeah. We were thinking about staying the night there, but then we thought, it's probably spendy.
Yeah, plus it was kind of a drizzly, rainy day. So we thought, well, if we stay the night, we're not gonna really enjoy like getting out and exploring because it's so wet, and it's kind of, and as you know, in the South, when it's wet, it's also muggy, so it's kind of like you're wet and sweaty and miserable all together.
Yeah,
so,
that's fun.
So we thought, let's keep going because our ultimate goal was to explore St. Augustine. So we thought, let's just head down there and spend some extra time there instead.
So what about Savannah surprised us that we both didn't realize until this point in our lives?
That they had really good Japanese food.
We never realized that, and we never realized that it was a port city.
Oh yeah,
I was so surprised.
Yeah, you don't really think about it, but yeah, it had like a major seaport there.
Yeah, who'd have thought?
Yeah, and the Japanese food was good. Not at the port, but we found a good sushi place and really enjoyed it.
So we arrived exhausted in Florida later that night, and we arrived at St. Augustine. And what's so special about this city in the U.S.?
It has the oldest European-built building.
Yeah, and it is the oldest city, has the oldest house in America as well.
Yeah, and it has a really neat old fort, too, built by the Spanish?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, a Spanish-built fort, which is pretty neat, overlooking the bay there, kind of.
I believe it was built in 1565, so way back when. The West was one.
Yeah, and one thing that was really cool about St. Augustine is that town really embraces tourism more than a lot of towns I've seen.
They do it the smart way.
Yeah, the businesses were not all, but a good portion of the businesses were open late into the night. Like, we were out kind of, when we first got there, we just kind of tooled around the town. We went for a walk, and then later we drove around, and so many things were open. We were able to go get some ice cream at a little ice cream parlor. I think they were open till 10 or so. And then even after that, like, we were driving around probably till 11 or 12 at night, and there was just people walking the streets. There was restaurants with like outdoor dining.
It's not just an ordinary venue as well. It was set up like an old colonial town. It was gorgeous.
Yeah, highly recommend St. Augustine if you're looking for a vacation. And it's on the Atlantic side of Florida, so the waters are just lovely. It's
it's warm and
we'll
clean.
talk about the Gulf side later, but the Atlantic side is nice and clean. It's nice and warm, and there's a good swath of beaches and free parking at least all the beaches we saw. Free parking,
great.
And at one of them, we just happened to find one that also had a nice shower that you could shower off. Just a regular outdoor shower. But I'm a big fan of those. I don't like going in the ocean and being all salty the rest of the day.
I'm also a fan of waves. I like it to be a little bit interesting when I'm swimming in the ocean. So I liked that the Atlantic side had a short shelf so you could really enjoy the waves coming in.
Yeah.
On the Gulf side, okay, so we made it to St. Augustine right on the northeastern tip of the state. So where did we go to next?
Next, we cut through Orlando on our way to Largo.
Key Largo. Regular Largo.
Ooh, I want to take you to Largo.
Regular Largo.
It is not Key Largo. So yeah, if you didn't know, there's the famous Key Largo, and then there's regular Largo. It's just called Largo.
Yeah, that's for us regular people.
It's a suburb of Tampa Bay. It's just outside Tampa Bay, and it's on its own little peninsula, and it's a nice little place. It's very crowded, a lot of people everywhere.
Yeah, it reminded me so much of Southern California. You don't even know.
Yeah, the traffic getting through Tampa Bay to get there, it was insane. So much traffic. And what's crazy is they have these freeways, highways, whatever they are. They're like 4 or 5 lanes going each direction. At one point, I think I counted. At one point, it was 12 lanes. It was 6 lanes going each direction. At one point, I mean, imagine that, 12 lanes, and it's still like packed with cars, stop and go traffic. It's like, how many? I guess they need like 20 lanes for the traffic to flow well. But
they pack. It was mainly through Orlando. They pack in
Orlando,
Disney
all
World,
through Tampa
Epcot
Bay
Center, SeaWorld.
Yeah,
Every type of world is in Orlando.
Yeah. But anyway, we finally did arrive at a little vacation home in Largo, and that was kind of the purpose. That's kind of what the catalyst for this trip was our old pastor and his wife bought a vacation rental in Largo with their son, and they were going to open for business on a certain day. And so he told us, if you want to use it prior to our official opening day, you guys can go stay a few days there. So,
and we could bring our dog.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing with us is we don't have anywhere to leave our dog.
Yeah. And the place is really cute little house. It's got a super modern kitchen with like really great appliances. They had a giant TV, not only a giant TV in like the living room, but then in the master bedroom, there's also a big flat screen TV. And the highlight in the backyard was
the pool.
The pool with
mosquito nets.
Mosquito nets, because in Florida, you cannot have a pool without mosquito nets. So, and these were brand new nets they just put up, so the skeeters were not going to get in.
Yeah, it was really nice. I loved the way that they decorated as well. It made you feel really good. Every time I went into the bathroom, it was full of bright blue and decor, and it's just like, oh, I'm happy. It was really nice, and we appreciate that special gift of getting to stay there.
Yeah, and the house is pretty centrally located. There's, like I said, it's on a big, long peninsula, and there's beaches all up and down the peninsula, public beaches. So there's one that's called Clearwater or Stillwater? Clearwater, and that's supposed to be like one of the best beaches on that side of Florida or something.
It had nice big sandy beach, but it was very popular. So if you don't like to be herded in to the water, then you probably don't want to go there. There's other beaches that you can go to that are virtually empty, and they still have the nice white sand beaches there. Like Indian Rocks was one that we went to, and I liked it, but Craig wasn't so much of a fan because there's a lot of
a huge fan.
Seaweed floating around everywhere.
Yeah, all the beaches we went to on the Gulf side have like little greenery floating around. It's like, it looks like parsley. It looks like somebody dumped a tanker full of parsley in the water. And when you get out, you have little green parsleys like all over you.
The little aliens.
Yeah. So, yeah, the one good thing I liked about the Clearwater Beach is there are public showers, so you can wash all your greenery off. The Indian Rocks, like she said, was great. No, hardly any people there. But I didn't see any public showers. I don't know that there aren't any because I didn't go up and down the whole beach.
Oh, also Indian Rocks, free parking. Yeah. Lovely neighborhood that the beach is in.
Yeah, the Clearwater Beach, you had to pay for parking in it. I mean, it's not incredibly expensive. I want to say it was like $1.50 an hour or something like that.
Yeah.
And you can pay with a credit card, so you don't have to have a bunch of quarters.
The town was it was kind of sketchy, and it was full of people everywhere you looked.
How is it sketchy?
Well, it wasn't sketchy so much as it was run down. Like, it just wasn't kept up. Like, well, it would be impossible to keep up a place like that was so very crowded. But Indian Rocks was really nice. Yeah.
But anyway, if you stay in the Largo area, it's, like I said, centrally located to all these different things. And then one of the, I'm a foodie, so one of the best things we did is we went down to St. something or other. What was that town? Was it St. Petersburg?
Yes.
St. Petersburg. So St. Petersburg was like the southern town on this little peninsula. And in St. Petersburg, we were looking for some Mediterranean food. I had a hankering for some Mediterranean food. And so I Googled Mediterranean food, and up popped a Serbian restaurant. And I was like, Serbian? Huh. And it said it was made of Mediterranean food, even though Serbia is not... Does it border the Mediterranean? It's near it. I don't think it actually touches it, right?
It's just north of Greece. So it is in the vicinity, but it doesn't touch the waters.
But anyway, so we like to try new things, so we're like, let's try it, see what it's like. some of the best food I've ever eaten. Oh, it was so delicious. We didn't, since we didn't know what to order and stuff, they had a sample platter where you get to try, I think it was like 4 different meats. And oh man, they brought it out on this adorable, it was like a wood tray, like a really neat, like it looked like a handmade thing. And it had, so it had all these different meats. And then it had
and really,
some bread.
Really different type of bread. It wasn't pita. It wasn't anything like French bread. It was like a bun that was like a cross between a pita bread and an English muffin. It was pretty good.
Yeah, it was similar to a pita, but yeah, definitely different. And it was delicious. The bread was good. The meats were great. Even the soda, we got some sodas. They were Fanta.
Oh, yeah. That was the best
soda,
part of the meal in my
But they were like Fantas imported from, I guess, from
Serbia.
From Serbia, because it had all kinds of odd writing, which I assume...
What's the best flavor of Fanta ever?
Tropical.
Yes.
Yeah, it was called Tropical. I'm not sure what it was supposed to be. Maybe it had like some hints of pineapple.
I have
no
sure. idea what the flavor was, but it was delightful.
It was delicious. And then she got an orange Fanta also, which I think was a little different than like the one you get here in the US.
Yeah,
It was pretty good too. But oh man, I was sad because I was like, now I discovered that Serbian food is so good, but where am I going to ever find a Serbian place?
In Kansas City you're going to.
Yeah, so she discovered that it's a festival, right?
Right. In November there's a Serbian food festival. Maybe we can get your parents to visit around that time, and then we can go to the festival.
So yeah, I don't think that there's a Serbian restaurant anywhere, but at least in November we can probably score us some good Serbian food.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so we had a good time sampling the Serbian food, the Cuban food. We love those fried plantains. Can't get enough of those.
Love the fried plantains.
And the yellow rice. Love that too. And so then we headed on out and went through Panama Beach and the Pensacola area. And what was your impression of that area?
My impression of the Panama Beach area was that she really loved all the tourist areas.
They had a big upside down building. They had a beached ship that was a Ripley's, believe it or not. Like every building was a big old cartoon theme of something. And it was just a really good treat for the eyes to just drive down the street.
Yeah. So just, very touristy areas and just pretty beaches there and just hotels, just rows and rows of hotels. And pretty interesting. And we went all the way through to Pensacola, which is where we wanted to go to the beach. I had been to the Pensacola beach as a kid and I had fond memories of it. But what I didn't remember is all the greenery in the water.
Again.
So you get out and you look like you just swam through a salad. But Pensacola Beach has lots of showers, so it's no big deal. You can go wash off afterward.
So the ocean wasn't a big hit at Pensacola Beach, but our dog sure was. Like everybody, I had to wait with the dog on the boardwalk for him to take a dip in the ocean because dogs weren't allowed on the beach. And everybody that passed by was just going gaga over our little dog.
Yeah.
So he loved it.
But we did take him to a dog beach too.
Yeah.
We took him to a specific dog beach and he wasn't he loves water. He loves being in the water. But he's on the shorter side. He's like a mid-size sedan. And he loves jumping in the water. But he wasn't keen on the waves because, like I said, his legs are kind of short. So when the waves would kind of hit him in the face, he didn't care for that.
He didn't like the taste of salt water because he loves to splash in the water and then chomp at it. So he loves all types of water, lakes and pools and all that, rivers, but he doesn't like salt water.
Yeah, not a saltwater guy, we discovered. No. So I guess he would probably like the beaches out in Oregon. He likes because they're shallow for a ways and you can kind of play in the water without going very deep. But this beach had it didn't have much of a shelf. It dropped off pretty dramatically. So within 10 feet, he was over his head already. So, yeah.
Oh, and I need to talk about one more food item that is dear to my heart. I don't usually like key lime pie if it's not eaten in Florida. I had no idea it could be so good. But in Pensacola, we went to a seafood restaurant and had a piece of the key lime pie there. Oh my goodness. It was like eating candy. It was so good. I loved that. Yep. So I have fond memories of the pie.
Yeah, and we were lucky enough to find a little out of the way. So there was all these touristy seafood places like that are right on the beach, and we stopped at one. It was going to be like a half an hour wait. It was just packed with people. So we were like, let's head on down the road. We didn't feel like sitting around there, and we found kind of like a place the locals go. It's like out of the way. It's out of the tourist zone. Wish I could think of the name. Maybe
it was fish. It was Kingfishers.
Kingfishers. There you go. So yeah, if you're in that area, go to Kingfishers. They have all kinds of fresh fish and a lot of good dishes other than fish if you're not in a fish mood. And they do little live concerts. So we got treated to a lovely lady singing some little cover songs. And there was hardly anybody in the whole place. I kind of felt bad for the singer because she was playing for...
Yeah, she was great.
She was really good, and she was playing for like 12, 15 people. That was pretty much all that was there.
And she was so humble. Like, we would clap after every song, and she'd be like, oh, like after every song. She was really nice and humble. I guess she doesn't get a lot of...
Yeah, and the other locals wouldn't clap, and I think some of them were like her friends, and I was like, where are they clapping for?
Yeah.
So, like, when we started clapping, then some of the other people kind of like joined in a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe they felt bad.
We're always trendsetters, and people very reluctantly follow any trends that we set.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a yummy place to dine.
So what was your impression of Florida?
So Florida is it's kind of a mixed bag. There's some really great things, some not so great things. I liked the food. Like you said, we had several good meals there. Didn't care for the traffic because it was kind of like being back in Southern California. Just too many cars and what's weird is there's like roads going through town where it's like you're not really on a freeway anymore, but they're still huge. They're like 4 lanes going each way, and sometimes it's really hard, especially if you're going to make a left turn and cross some traffic. Like, good luck. In fact, a few times we would just make a right turn and then kind of work our way over and then do a U-turn at the next light because it was just like cars going like non-stop all the time, and that was a bit crazy.
Yeah, my impression of Florida is it is a mini America because there's some backwoodsy places and there's some huge cities. There's of course not mountains, but there's such a mix of people there too. All sorts of different people. Like anybody that you could think of, you can find in Florida. And
we even attended a church service our last Sunday there. And how did we pick the church we were going to attend?
Well, we were driving down the road to a church that he wanted to go to. And then I saw all these men standing out there with signs, like with encouraging verses on them. And I thought to myself, wow.
What were these men wearing?
They were wearing full suits in the humidity
in the Florida
of Florida.
Heat, and they were out waving signs.
Right. I thought like, oh, hey, these are some fine Christians because they're go-getters. So they want more people to come to their service. Well, they're out there encouraging people to come in. I think like that's great. So let's go there.
Yeah. So she said, turn the car around. Let's go to that church. So, and it was interesting because you think of Florida, especially like we weren't too far from the beach. We were in a different town, but it wasn't far from like Pensacola. And you think of the beach, and there's all these beach goers, and like fancy cars and all this worldly stuff. To put it in a word. And then just a few miles away, here's this church, and it was like a very like old-timey church.
Yeah, it seemed like the middle of the Midwest.
Like almost all the men were wearing full suits, and the ladies were wearing full dresses and all that, and it was just like such a funny thing to see in Florida, like not far from the beach. You think like, you'd expect like a traditional church like that to be, like in the Midwest or in the Bible Belt of Texas and all that.
Right.
But yeah.
So it was a neat experience.
Yeah, and the people were really genuinely nice, and everybody wanted to meet us and say hi, and Yeah, and pastor preached a good
they
sermon.
They were like, "Oh, new church members? No, just passing through."
They found out we were from Kansas. No, but they were still really nice to us, even though we were from Kansas.
Yeah. Okay, so we headed out of Florida, and then we went back up and spent more time in Alabama and Mississippi. And in Mississippi, we tried out some local fare and some candy, like peanut
patties.
Peanut patties.
Which are like a red, it's like peanut brittle, but it's red and not as crunchy. It's more chewy.
And we also tried out boiled peanuts. We saw people along the roadside selling this every so often, so we thought, oh, we better try this. And what did it taste like?
Like soup.
Yeah, it made the
weird.
Peanuts taste like beans.
Because it was very strange.
Yeah.
It's definitely an acquired taste.
I could see how you'd like it if you were starving.
Well, there you go. And we also found it at one little stop. That was in Arkansas, back in Arkansas, though. We found the Dr. Pepper flavored cotton candy, which I thought was amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
But, I'm not really into Dr. Pepper, so I can only think it's so good.
And then was it in Mississippi? Yeah, that we tried. There was a fast food joint called Ward's that's like a chain there. And it was, the food was so-so. Wasn't great. But the workers were like so hilarious.
Yeah, they were fun.
They were so funny. So she orders her meal, and then she's like, and the girl's like, is that going to be all? And she's like, Corinne says, I think I'll have a sundae too. Like an ice cream sundae. And the girl goes, well, okay. It's so awesome.
The lady made up the sundae for me, and she sets it on the counter, and she says to her coworker, I think that's pretty. You think that's pretty? I think that's pretty.
So, yeah, the food was kind of a bust, but we were like, it was worth the stop just to see these southern gals working. Yeah. They were awesome.
Right.
We liked it.
So, that's pretty... Oh, we went up through Oklahoma.
Oh, you missed... you skipped...
Louisiana.
Yeah, Louisiana.
Okay. So what did we do in Louisiana?
In Louisiana? I don't remember. What did we do there?
We stopped and rested. Remember your romantic gesture.
Oh, you know what? We need to hold the phone. We're going to back it up. You glossed over probably the best part of our entire trip. That was in Alabama.
I blinked it.
It's an alley of a certain sort.
Oh, he's not kidding. That was one of the best moments of our trip. We went to Alligator Alley. That was fun. I loved that.
Yeah, awesome. So it's just, they have like hundreds of gators, and they have all of these boardwalks going over the swamp. And you can just look down, you're just feet from like these massive gators. Actually, they have all different ages and sizes. There's baby gators all the way up to really old guys that are huge and scaly.
Something that surprised me, do alligators grow very fast?
They don't. They grow really slow. We got to hold a 1-year-old alligator.
And it was only about this big.
Yeah, and it was so gentle and kind. I mean, they have a little rubber band around the snout, but I don't think he would have bit us anyway. And his snout was only like this big anyway. Yeah. But he was just real, like you'd hold him and he's just real chill, like, yeah, whatever.
He's really soft. It didn't feel like a snake or anything.
Yeah, he felt
Which
real
they
good.
also let us hold a rosy boa, and it felt neat. It was like a braided metal bracelet or something.
Yeah, so and then it would lick my arm with its little tongue. Yeah. It kind of tickled, like, what is it doing? I guess they smell with their tongues, right?
Right.
But yeah, it was such a neat place. And yeah, they little critters to hold, and they also had other animals too. It was not just alligators and boas. They had a couple like huge tortoises. One was like 30-some years old or something, and they had.
What was the neat thing about that tortoise?
Oh yeah, their old tortoise. They said it escaped at one point and was gone for a year. For a year, it was just roaming the Alabama countryside. So Alligator Alley is like in the middle of nowhere. It's like in the middle of farmland. So for a year, this thing was just roaming around different farms, I guess, and then eventually it was found. I don't remember the story, and brought back. So funny that it's out roaming for a year. This big old tortoise, it's a big old guy, like this big, probably weighs 50 pounds or I don't know, 40, 50 pounds. And then they had, what were those cool monitors, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had like different types of monitors, and they had some that were like their design was the same all through the body and the tail. And then they had one that I thought was so cool because its body had one design, and then right where the tail started, totally different design down the tail. It's like, that's so bizarre.
But back to the big tortoise, because we can't go away from that. But that reminds me of a story that I heard about a pig that escaped from a farm, and it would roam the countryside for several years, and it became like a legend in town because it was a really nice, friendly pig, and it would go to different people's houses to get fed. Everybody would feed it, so it grew to be huge until they finally captured it. I think they kept it at a zoo. They didn't slaughter it, but it was like the town mascot was this pig.
Awesome. Okay, so then, and we didn't mention the Civil War thing.
Oh, Vicksburg.
Yeah, we also went through Vicksburg. That was
Mississippi.
Yeah, and that was neat. It was Vicksburg. So there's a Civil War battlefield, and what's cool about it is it's considered the world's largest outdoor art exhibit because they have how many monuments there?
1,300.
1,300.
And that's because every state that was in that battle has contributed monuments to their divisions, their battalions, whatever that were fighting in the war.
Yeah,
both sides.
And it's kind of neat because the battlefield, it's massive. It's probably, I don't know, a few hundred acres. And they put, they'll put like maybe Arkansas has a big monument, and I believe they put it in the area. It'll say like the Arkansas 75th Division or whatever. They'll put it like probably where that division attacked from, because you see these scattered around, and I believe they represent where on the battlefield those troops came in. And so you see all these monuments, and some of them are just a little plaque. Some of them are like 50 feet high.
Yeah, like big old
obelisks.
mausoleum.
The biggest one is this huge mausoleum.
And I think it was by Illinois. Illinois looked like they contributed the most towards the Union in that battle.
Yeah, and then like some of the leaders, like some of the generals and I don't know, other high-ranking officers are memorialized too. Like there'll be a big statue of them like holding a gun and maybe like an eagle or something cool. Like a lot of these monuments are just really neat to see, and there's so many, and it's a drive-through thing. I mean, you can walk through. It'd probably take you a whole day, but there's a road that kind of goes around it all, and you can see most of it from your car.
There were people going on their morning walk, walking their dogs through the
and
memorial.
It's really pretty there. It's very nice and green, and really neat place.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're ever near Vicksburg, definitely go see the Civil War battlefield.
And keep to the speed limit like a hawk, because there's speed traps in the area.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we went through Louisiana, went through a little bitty bit of Texas, and then we went up through Oklahoma. Who did we see in Oklahoma?
We saw Taco Terry.
Taco Terry!
So we got to visit Terry from MT Homestead. She's one of our good YouTube friends. Her and Mike. Unfortunately, Mike was out of town. He heard we were coming, so he bailed.
He split.
But Terry was nice enough to meet us for tacos, and we had a nice chat with her. Check for the video coming soon to a YouTube screen near you.
In honor of Mike, though, we ordered his favorite dish from the Mexican restaurant. What was that? Yeah,
it was a pineapple fajitas, I think it was. So it's fajitas, but so like imagine if you have a pineapple standing up, they cut it like this down the middle, carve it out, and then they serve your fajitas
like a pineapple boat.
So it's in this big pineapple boat, and there's the chunks of pineapple mixed in with the fajita meat. So it's pretty neat thing.
Yeah, it was nice to speak with Terry and get to learn a little bit more about her.
Yeah, Yeah, they're really fascinating people, and they're new to the Midwest. It's up for debate whether.
Well, she's not new to it, but
Yeah,
Mike is.
Mike is, but she's lived all over, and they did some time in Korea, and that's kind of where they were coming back from recently, and but yeah, they ended up settling in Oklahoma, and they're real happy there, and we were happy to finally get down there and meet them. They hold a special place for us because they were some of the first. And there was the first other YouTube channel that like reached out to us and kind of welcomed us into the homesteading community, which we're kind of a part of on YouTube. There's a small, actually there's probably dozens of homestead communities, but we're in like the small to mid-sized channel homesteading community. There's the mega channels that, they don't associate with us because they've got, hundreds of thousands of followers.
Right. Just like the mega churches we didn't go to in Florida. They had different branded churches, like Victory Church, and it has like trendy. A logo, and it has like all the trendy cars out front. We just thought, they would they would shoo us out as soon as they saw us.
And really fancy, like high-end buildings, like they barely look like churches.
That ain't us. That just ain't us.
Yep.
But so you said the alligator alley was the best part of the trip.
One of the best parts.
What was actually the best part of the trip?
Us fighting in the car all the time?
Oh yeah. Man, I don't know. This is probably a common problem, but I see it with a lot of couples, but man, we just fight over the dumbest stuff.
It's her fault, mostly.
Whatever, but the best part of the trip for me was getting home. I was so ready to be back in our little prairie home. And before living in Oregon, I would hear some people say, oh, the trees are pretty, but it makes me feel claustrophobic to be surrounded by them.
And the trees and the mountains.
I would think, are you nuts? But I think I understand that now. I really missed the wide open spaces of the prairie, the big sky.
Yeah, it's really grown on us. Even the wind has grown on us. For those that don't know, the Midwest is pretty windy, and especially Kansas. And kind of, that was a culture shock coming here. We're like, oh, is it windy all the time? But now, when it's not windy, when you get like a week of like no wind, you start missing it. You're like, oh, where's the wind? Because here's something you probably don't think about. When the wind is blowing at a decent rate, which it often does, there's no bugs bothering you, no mosquitoes, because they all run and hide. They can't hang in the wind because it's blowing so hard it would just blow them away. So when there's a nice wind blowing, you can go for a walk in the evening and the bugs do not bother you. But when there's no wind, then all the skeeters come out and all the little critters. We were going for a walk this evening, and just bugs all over us.
Yeah.
It was nuts. And I'm just thinking, like, we need that wind back. Bring back the wind.
Right. And I kind of like the drama of having wind all the time. Makes you feel alive when you go out to get the mail.
Yeah, because you got to fight for that mail.
Right.
Yeah, and yard decor, unless it's like industrial strength, it's not going to last out here.
Right.
Out on the prairie, that wind will just... We've tried different yard decors, and they just... get taken out.
So would you agree with... Would you regrets with me that there is no place like home?
There is no place like home. And let's click our heels 3 times and say that. Hey, look, we're here in Kansas. We're home. Yep. So yeah, we were so happy to be home. Anybody can relate when you're on the road for a couple weeks. Nothing feels better than your own bed.
Amen.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us on our slideshow of our vacation.
Through the South. We hope you enjoyed it. Now that we've kind of nailed the southern states, I think we've been to pretty much everywhere in the continental U.S. I've not been to everywhere except the upper Northeast. So
New England, you're next.
So yeah, we're coming for you, and that'll probably be, I don't know if we'll make it this year, but maybe next year.
Probably not
and
this year.
Once I hit the upper the Northeast, then I will have been to all of the continental U.S. I have not done Alaska and Hawaii yet. Don't know if I ever will.
Hey.
Would like to.
Alaska.
Yeah,
We could
Alaska
both
sounds
visit
awesome.
it for the first time.
But I'm excited that I'm just, I don't know, 6 or 7 states shy of the whole continental U.S. That's pretty neat. So, yeah, hopefully I'll hit that next year.
Squad goals.
Squad goals. There you go.
Well, thanks for joining us.
One final thought. The one thing that we loved about Florida is that they are crazy for Trump. It was awesome. There's like,
that's true.
There's a giant billboard, one of the biggest billboards I've seen. It was probably, 100 feet up in the air. Probably, well, not that high, but it was way up there so everybody could see it. And it was a double billboard. It had a huge billboard and then another one underneath it. And it said something like, so many votes for Biden. Yeah, right. And then it says like, what did it say? Like unfair election, or it was something harsher than that. Like fraudulent election or something on these giant billboards. And then we noticed that we see a lot of signs for politicians in Florida running for different offices. And like many of them would have the candidate and then with Trump. And it'd be like, vote for me for office. And it would have just Trump, like a picture of Trump with them. So I'm like, they obviously love Trump in Florida, like we do. Trump, one of the best presidents of my lifetime. And so I just thought I wanted to throw that out there, how crazy they were for Trump out in Florida.
Yes,
I thought that was
Trump,
awesome.
You'll never hear this message, but Trump, keep on fighting.
Keep on fighting. Fight the good fight. We're praying for you. So, all right. So I think that's it. So now we'll say goodbye. Thanks for coming along, traveling through the South with us. And we'll see you next time on a little podcast on the Prairie. God bless.